Now, one of the major things that I learnt was when I was discovering the whole concept of shape was the tongue arch. Now, I see articles and things about tongue arch everywhere. Some people say the tongue doesn't have to change shape. Some say that it do. There's x-rays showing that the tongue moves a little bit or moves a lot. The tongue, playing the way that I do, does arch, and my tip of my tongue pretty much stays behind the low teeth, although in the upper register it tends to drift up a little bit, and depending on the articulation it can change a little bit. But basically every time I tongue, it's from the middle part of the tongue. I can't put the tip of the tongue behind my top teeth. But I was always a very struggling high F sharp and G player, and I'd work very, very hard to play those notes, and I'd get headaches. And then I'm reading all these books talking about arched tongue and hiss position, and I never quite understood what it was talking about. Even in the early days when I saw books that was saying ah, yeah, ah, I never quite understood how the tongue changed the note. And it wasn't until I realised that the tension of the aperture was so vitally important that it started to tie in and go, well, when the tongue arches and the aperture corners come in, that it all started to make sense. So then all of a sudden I go, okay, now if I need to play a higher note than I've ever played, I merely need to arch my tongue higher in the mouth. Have a listen to the sound that I'm making here. Have a look at my mouth. Now, Bobby Shoe teaches a great lesson of imagining the air going up, air keeping up. It's to stop that bottom lip from rolling back under. We want the ah-oo, the U shape in the bottom lip, forward. Not, and that tightening down instantly. I feel the strain in my throat, and I used to play like it all the time. You may have seen the WindStick. What on earth is the WindStick about? It's a little piece of plastic. But I figure that if I combine just a small amount of airflow with the WindStick, check this out. I don't want to blow the match out. Now, it didn't go out, but I couldn't feel that air coming out of my body. You can't feel it. Same as this. When you put this between your lips, you can't stop the air from coming out unless you really choke yourself. So the air is coming out naturally because of the elasticity of the body, then the reduction of the body. The air is coming out naturally. So I figure, okay, if I was to arch my tongue higher than I've ever arched it before, then a higher note should come out. Now, what I learned after this is that it's the aperture corners coming in. But one day, it just happened. This is what I call a coffee moment, when you understand something but you can't get it to work, and then eventually when it works, the theory turns out to be correct. You put your instrument down and go and have a coffee and think about it, because you've understood it so much but you couldn't get it to work, and then when eventually it works, you go, that's what I should be doing. Now I need to internalize that sensation. I've done some brain building. I've done some concept development. I know the feeling that I want from doing the lead pipe using the visualizer. Then I'll extend what I was doing. So I'm starting to warm up. Now I go back to that moment, the coffee moment, where I go, I don't need any more air to come out than what comes out of the WindStick. It's very little. You can hardly feel it. I need to arch my tongue higher than I ever have before. The corners are coming in. If I hear the sound that I'm making here, and I put that through the instrument, purely shape and a release of compression, good breath. and there's hardly any air coming through. I can feel the compression in my body, but as Arnold Jacobs says, you don't want to blow against the resistance of the instrument. I give the instrument what I need without pushing against it. You push too hard, then all of a sudden, all of that extra energy comes back at you. And the very first time I could break that A ceiling was from understanding the concept behind playing. It wasn't from just doing repetitive exercises over and over, the same harmonic slurs, the same thing, because I found that I was trying harder and harder and pushing my air harder and compensating from the lack of knowledge of tension requirements. So it's like trying to punch down a brick wall. If the tension's not right, you can use all the strength in the body that you like, but you're not going to develop the upper register. So develop it very slowly with harmonic slurs. Now, the Only No Mystery Guide to Trumpet Mastery, it's all about developing this. It's about developing harmonic slurs and developing tonguing, releasing air, releasing compression, and doing it very, very gradually and noticing where you can't go any faster on harmonic slurs and other exercises. So work through the book there first. Don't try and jump ahead, because you're going to damage your chops and you're not going to be able to, find what you're after if you just keep mashing yourself. There are some physics involved, and there's some very important visualizations that you must understand when you're going to develop that upper register. Hope that helps. Talk soon.